There comes a moment in every person's life when the unseen begins to whisper louder than the visible. A moment when something inside you rises gently but unmistakably, and you know, without needing proof, that life is reordering itself for your good. This is not imagination in the weak sense, it is the divine impression of what is already unfolding. When God shifts things in your favor, the first evidence is not outside, it is within you. You begin to notice a quiet rearranging of your inner world. The fear that once felt so loud starts to lose its authority. The doubts that try to anchor you begin to loosen their grip. Suddenly, you feel an inner permission to hope again. You sense that your desires are not accidents. They are previews of what God has already made ready for you. The longing in your heart turns from yearning into knowing. This inner shift is the first sign that the outer world is about to reflect a new pattern. Then, without forcing anything, life starts to feel lighter. What once felt like pushing a boulder uphill begins to move with unexpected ease. The right conversations appear, new people enter your life, and solutions show up before you even ask the questions. This is not coincidence, it is divine movement. It is the rearrangement of circumstances aligning themselves with the new truth you've accepted within. When God is shifting things in your favor, struggle ceases to be your teacher and ease becomes your companion. Another sign is the opening of doors that resisted you for years. Opportunities that once denied you now search for you. Paths that seemed impossible suddenly make space for your steps. You begin to realize that nothing was blocked. Everything was simply waiting for the moment you became aligned with what God had already ordained. Every no was preparing you for a better yes. Every delay was shaping the version of you capable of carrying the blessing. And then comes the most powerful sign of all. Your desires stop feeling distant, they become familiar, as if they have already come to pass. You find yourself thinking from the desire, not of the desire. You no longer wish for the blessing, you inhabit it internally. You walk with a new posture, a new expectation, a new inner certainty. This is the spiritual confirmation that what you hold within must appear without. God never places a desire in your heart without also preparing the fulfillment. As you move through your days, you begin to experience divine alignment. Moments of perfect timing appear with such precision that you can only smile. A message arrives at the exact second you needed it. A connection forms at the perfect moment. A situation resolves itself in ways you couldn't have engineered if you tried. These alignments are the fingerprints of God, marking every step of your journey. But perhaps the greatest sign is a quiet confidence, an unshakable peace that settles over you. You can't explain it to anyone, but you feel something working for you, through you, and ahead of you. You know that what you once prayed for is now pursuing you. You don't chase, you attract. You don't beg, you believe. You don't force, you allow. You have stepped into the flow of divine favor. So if you're noticing these signs, if you feel the inner shift, if life is softening around you, if doors are cracking open, if your desires feel closer, if alignment is showing up in small details, and if confidence is rising within you, know this: God is not preparing to shift things in your favor. He already has. The results are now on their way to you. Stand firm in this truth. Hold your vision with reverence. Trust the unseen with boldness. For everything you have carried in faith, is now carrying you into its fulfillment. God is moving, aligning, orchestrating, and unfolding every detail in your favor. Your time is not just coming, your time has begun. The greatest evidence that your life is about to change is not found in circumstances, signs, or external breakthroughs. It begins within you. Long before anything around you shifts, something inside you starts to awaken. It happens quietly, subtly, and almost imperceptibly at first. You begin to feel differently about your life, your potential, and your future. What once felt impossible now feels reachable. Now, what once felt distant now feels near. This inner stirring is not random. It is the spiritual announcement that transformation has already begun. You notice that your old reactions no longer have the same power. Things that once triggered fear, insecurity, or frustration no longer dominate your emotional landscape. You start catching yourself responding differently, more calmly, more confidently, more intentionally. This is not you becoming someone new, this is you returning to who you were created to be. Transformation always begins with identity, not with circumstances. When God shifts things in your favor, He first shifts your self perception, because your outer world can never rise higher than your inner belief. Your desires start to feel more aligned and more purposeful. You no longer crave things to fill a void. You desire them because you finally understand they are meant for you. You begin to realize that the longing in your heart is not an ache of lack, but an echo of divine completion. The dream inside you starts to feel like a memory rather than a fantasy. You find yourself imagining what it would be like to already have what you once prayed for. And this imagination brings peace instead of anxiety. That shift from wanting to knowing is a powerful indicator of impending change. Your conversations with yourself evolve. You speak with more faith and less doubt. You uplift yourself instead of tearing yourself down. You begin to talk about your future as if it is certain, not as if it is fragile. You rehearse new possibilities in your mind and let go of the narrative that kept you small. These internal dialogues are not insignificant. They are spiritual seeds. The moment your self-talk changes, your destiny begins to reshape itself. You also start feeling a nudge toward new habits, new environments, and new decisions. The things that once satisfied you no longer do. The places that once felt comfortable now feel constricting. You feel an inner pull to elevate your standards, your expectations, and your spiritual alignment. This inner dissatisfaction is not punishment, it is preparation. It is God's way of signaling that your old life cannot contain the magnitude of what He is about to release into your new one. There is a rising sense of peace that replaces your old restlessness. You begin to trust the timing of your life instead of fearing it. You feel guided, supported, and surrounded, even when nothing around you has visibly changed yet. This quiet confidence is the inner shift that precedes every major breakthrough. It is the soul's certainty that what you have accepted within must manifest without. When your inner world transforms, your outer world has no choice but to follow. Transformation begins in the unseen, but it always finishes in the visible. Your inner shift is not just a first sign, it is the guarantee that everything around you is about to align with the new truth you now carry. Life has a way of showing us when a shift is occurring, and one of the clearest signs that God is moving everything in your favor is the arrival of unexpected ease. What once felt like a constant uphill battle begins to change, almost imperceptibly at first. You notice that tasks which once required struggle, anxiety, and relentless effort start to flow with surprising simplicity. Opportunities that used to seem out of reach now present themselves effortlessly. The weight of resistance that defined your past begins to lift, replaced by a rhythm that feels natural, even inevitable. This ease is not a coincidence. It is the reflection of divine alignment with your inner state, responding to the consciousness you have cultivated within. The shift toward ease begins in your perception of life itself, where before you may have seen obstacles, delays, or limitations, you start noticing openings, pathways, and possibilities. Things that once seemed complicated now appear straightforward. Solutions come to you without forcing them, and challenges reveal themselves as temporary rather than permanent. This is the moment when struggle no longer defines your reality and life begins to move in harmony with your intention. Divine favor does not always change the circumstances immediately, but it transforms the way you experience them, making what once felt difficult suddenly manageable. As this ease becomes more evident, you start noticing synchronicities in your everyday life. People, events, and resources begin to appear at precisely the right moment. Conversations happen at the perfect time. Doors that were previously closed start opening, and you find yourself in the right place with the right people without effort. These signs are proof that the universe is responding to the energy you emit. Your focus, your faith, and your inner acceptance of your desired outcome create a gravitational pull that aligns circumstances in your favor. What once required brute force now unfolds naturally because divine support has stepped in to guide the way. Your mindset itself contributes to this unexpected ease. As you release resistance, doubt, and fear, you allow room for grace to operate. You realize that pushing and forcing only prolongs struggle, while trusting and allowing brings solutions quickly and quietly. When you stop wrestling with life and start moving in sync with its flow, doors open more readily, opportunities arrive with less effort, and your own confidence grows because you begin to witness the power of alignment at work. This is how God works, by rearranging conditions so that your actions are met with less friction and more fulfillment. And it's this conviction that friction means even your relationship with time changes. Tasks that used to take hours are completed more efficiently. Decisions that once caused anxiety are now made with clarity and peace. Life no longer feels like a battle to survive, but a process in which you participate as a co-creator. The ease that is now present is not a reward for work alone, it is the natural outcome of your inner alignment with divine intention. As the struggle dissolves, your focus can shift from merely surviving to consciously creating the reality you desire. Unexpected ease is not just a temporary relief. It is a signal that the foundations of your life are shifting in your favor. It confirms that the forces of the unseen are orchestrating events to support your growth and success. When you notice this change, embrace it fully, for it marks the arrival of a new phase, one in which life works with you. The old struggle fades, because you are stepping into a life guided by divine intelligence, where your desires, actions, and circumstances move together in perfect harmony. There comes a moment in life when opportunities begin to appear in ways that feel almost miraculous. Doors that once stayed closed, seemingly no matter how hard you knocked or how persistent you were, now begin to open effortlessly. This is one of the clearest signs that God is shifting everything in your favor. The walls that once blocked your progress were never permanent. They were temporary barriers meant to guide your consciousness, to prepare you, and to align your inner world with the blessings that were always intended for you. When the right time arrives, these doors swing open naturally, as if they were waiting for you to be ready to step through. Yeah, as this hidden door that one can enter is being stepped through. The opening of these doors begins subtly, often through small coincidences and unexpected opportunities. A chance meeting, a timely message, or an introduction that seems trivial at first can suddenly transform your path. What once felt impossible now becomes probable. The effort that was once required to gain entry is no longer necessary because your inner alignment has shifted. You are no longer trying to force reality to conform to your desires. Instead, reality responds to the truth you hold within. The universe is intelligent, and when your beliefs, emotions, and imagination harmonize with your goals, the barriers dissolve naturally. It is important to understand that these doors do not open randomly. They open in perfect alignment with your vision, your intentions, and the desires that have been imprinted on your heart. Each opportunity that presents itself carries the fingerprints of divine orchestration. You may notice that situations that once felt distant or inaccessible suddenly find a way to meet you where you are. People who once seemed out of reach become allies. Circumstances that once seemed impossible to navigate now fall into place with clarity and ease. This is the evidence that God is not just moving things for you, but moving them in perfect timing, ensuring that your path is aligned with your highest good. As these doors open, you also begin to recognize the role of your inner state in attracting them. Your focus, faith, and unwavering expectation serve as magnets for the opportunities that are now becoming available. You are no longer looking outward for proof. Instead, you are feeling inwardly that the doors will open, and as a result, they do. This is the law of divine correspondence at work. The outer world responding to the inner certainty you carry. The key is to maintain this inner certainty and to step forward boldly when the doors appear, trusting that they are opening precisely when they should. The effortless opening of doors is accompanied by a sense of grace and ease. You no longer struggle or strain against resistance. Instead, life begins to flow in a way that feels natural and aligned. Every new opportunity reinforces the awareness that you are moving in harmony with a divine plan. Even doors you never imagined opening become accessible simply because your consciousness has expanded to receive them. This is a reminder that divine favor is not about luck or coincidence. It is about alignment, faith, and the willingness to act when opportunity presents itself. When you recognize that doors are opening effortlessly, it is a call to trust and step forward with confidence. The closed doors of the past were never permanent. They were simply preparing you for this moment. Now, as each door swings open, you are invited to walk boldly into your new reality, knowing that God is orchestrating every detail in your favor. Each detail in your favor. The path ahead is illuminated, and the opportunities that were once beyond reach are now within your grasp, ready to transform your life in ways you have always dreamed. There is a profound moment in life when your desires no longer feel like distant dreams, random wishes, or fragile hopes. Instead, they begin to feel natural, inevitable, and almost preordained. This is one of the clearest signs that God is shifting everything in your favor. What once felt like an ambitious longing now carries the weight of certainty. You start to sense that what you want is not outside of reach, but is already moving toward you. The desire no longer exists as a separate entity. It feels as though it has always been a part of your life, waiting for the perfect moment to manifest. This shift begins within your consciousness. You notice a subtle change in the way you relate to your desires. They no longer trigger anxiety, impatience, or doubt. Instead, they evoke a quiet confidence and a deep sense of trust. You find yourself imagining their fulfillment without resistance, visualizing them as already realized. The act of wishing transforms into the act of knowing. The longing that once made you feel incomplete now reassures you that life is aligned with what you are ready to receive. There is a profound shift in energy when desire moves from being a hope to being an expectation. As your desires begin to feel natural, you also notice how effortlessly they fit into your life. They no longer feel like foreign ambitions that require struggle or sacrifice to achieve. Instead, they feel like extensions of your being, inevitable consequences of your inner alignment. The obstacles that once seemed formidable lose their power, and the steps toward your dreams begin to appear obvious and manageable. You no longer chase the outcome with desperation. You step into the path that naturally leads to it, guided by intuition, opportunity, and timing that seems almost miraculous. This feeling of inevitability is reinforced by your inner faith. You begin to trust that the desires placed within your heart are not mistakes or whims. They are divine markers of the life that is meant for you. The universe begins to reflect this trust back to you, orchestrating situations, people, and circumstances that confirm what you already sense within. Small confirmations, coincidences, and timely alignments start to reinforce the certainty that your desires are already on their way. You begin to act not out of anxiety, but out of inspiration, guided by the knowing that fulfillment is not just possible, but inevitable. This natural sense of inevitability transforms your relationship with patience. You no longer measure progress by external results or timelines. You are aware that the process is as important as the outcome, and you allow life to unfold in perfect rhythm. Your focus shifts from the how and when to the certainty of the what. You carry your desires as truths rather than wishes, and this mental and emotional alignment accelerates their manifestation. As your desires feel more natural and inevitable, you experience a profound sense of peace and empowerment. You are no longer at the mercy of circumstance. Instead, you are co-creating reality in harmony with divine intelligence. The longing that once caused stress now serves as a compass, guiding you toward fulfillment. Life begins to flow with ease, doors open naturally, and the path to your dreams becomes clear. This inner certainty is the most powerful sign that God is not only aware of your desires, but is actively orchestrating their manifestation in your favor. You begin to see that what you have always wanted is not a matter of if, but of when, and that when is already moving toward you with unstoppable inevitability. One of the most profound signs that God is shifting everything in your favor is the unmistakable awareness of perfect timing. These are the moments when life seems to orchestrate itself with precision beyond your understanding. Opportunities appear exactly when you need them. Answers to questions arrive before you even know to ask. People enter your life at the precise moment they are meant to support your journey. These perfect timing moments are not coincidences, they are divine alignments. Prove that unseen forces are actively arranging circumstances to bring your desires into manifestation. You begin to notice that events no longer feel random. The delays, setbacks, and waiting periods that once frustrated you are now revealed as preparation. Each pause, each challenge, each seeming obstacle was designed to position you perfectly for the blessing you are about to receive. The timing of life is intentional, and it unfolds according to a wisdom far greater than human understanding. When you pay attention, you start recognizing the pattern. Nothing is too early, nothing is too late, and everything arrives exactly as it should. These moments often appear subtle at first. Perhaps a phone call comes at just the right moment, or an email arrives with the solution you were seeking. You meet someone who unknowingly guides you toward an opportunity that shifts your path. A chance encounter, a passing remark, or a sudden insight seems insignificant until you see how it fits perfectly into the unfolding plan of your life. Over time, these perfect timing moments become more frequent and more noticeable, and you begin to sense a rhythm behind the apparent randomness of everyday life. As you become aware of divine alignment, you also realize that your role is not to force events or rush outcomes. The more you resist the natural unfolding of life, the more you block the timing of these blessings. When you trust and surrender, when you act in harmony with your inner knowing, life aligns itself around you. Your intuition guides your choices, and the perfect opportunities appear as if drawn to you by an invisible force. This awareness transforms your experience. Instead of struggling against circumstance, you move with it, stepping into moments that are already designed to support your growth and fulfillment. The sense of divine timing also brings a deep inner peace. You begin to release anxiety, worry, and the need to control every detail. You trust that the universe is not random or indifferent, but intimately aware of your desires and actively arranging the conditions for their manifestation. This trust allows you to focus on what matters: your vision, your mindset, and your alignment, while life orchestrates the precise circumstances needed for your success. Recognizing perfect timing is a form of spiritual confirmation. It reassures you that your prayers, intentions, and desires are not ignored or forgotten. Every synchronistic event, every timely opportunity, every seemingly miraculous encounter is a sign that God is moving things in your favor. These moments remind you that you are not alone in your journey and that the universe is actively collaborating with your inner vision. As you continue to notice these alignments, your faith grows, your patience strengthens, and your confidence deepens, because you understand that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, at the perfect moment, in perfect order, for your highest good. There is a profound sign that God is shifting everything in your favor, and it is felt not through external validation, but deep within your being. A quiet, unshakable confidence. It is the kind of confidence that arises without effort, without boasting, and without needing explanation. You may not be able to pinpoint its origin or describe it to others, but you feel it unmistakably. It is a certainty that, despite the circumstances, the forces of life are aligned in your favor. This quiet confidence is not arrogance or pride. It is a spiritual assurance that everything you desire is moving toward you, and nothing can stop it. You notice it first in the way you hold yourself, where once doubt, fear, or insecurity dictated your posture, your speech, and your decisions, now there is a calm certainty in every action. You move through life with an inner steadiness, as if an invisible hand guides each step. Challenges no longer shake you the way they once did because you carry within you a sense of inevitability, an understanding that your path is being divinely orchestrated. This confidence is quiet because it does not demand recognition, it simply exists as natural and undeniable as your own heartbeat. This inner assurance often manifests in decision making. You find that you can make choices with clarity and conviction. You trust your intuition more deeply and act on it without hesitation. Whereas you may have previously questioned your every move, now there is a knowing, a deep instinctive understanding that your steps are aligned with a greater plan. Even when circumstances appear uncertain, this confidence does not waver, because it is grounded not in what you see, but in what you feel and know inwardly. You understand that visible evidence is not required for divine favor. Your inner state is proof enough. The quiet confidence also transforms how you interact with the world. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself to others or to seek constant validation. You walk through life with a sense of dignity, grace, and authority that is naturally magnetic. People may notice it before you do, but it is not for their approval. It is a reflection of the alignment within you. Your presence communicates something that cannot be argued with. You know your worth, you know your path, and you trust the process of your life. This confidence is reinforced by the subtle signs that life places in your path. Opportunities appear with precision. Timing works in your favor, and obstacles that once seemed insurmountable begin to dissolve. These moments remind you that your inner knowing is accurate, and that divine favor is actively guiding your journey. As a result, your faith grows, your patience deepens, and your sense of peace expands. You no longer cling to outcomes with desperation, but move forward with trust, knowing that the universe is orchestrating everything for your highest good. This quiet confidence is a spiritual gift. It is a sign that God is not only aware of your desires, but is actively moving to fulfill them. It cannot be explained because it is beyond human reasoning, and yet it cannot be denied because it is an undeniable truth within your soul. It is the calm assurance that your life is shifting, that doors are opening, and that everything is aligning in your favor. When you sense this confidence, cherish it, for it is the inner confirmation that your time has come and that divine favor is now at work in every aspect of your life. In conclusion, the signs we have explored, the inner shift that precedes every transformation, the unexpected ease that replaces old struggles, the doors that once stayed closed now opening effortlessly, the natural and inevitable feeling of your desires, the divine alignment revealed through perfect timing, and the quiet confidence that cannot be denied, are all proof that God is actively shifting everything in your favor. These are not mere coincidences or random occurrences. They are the unmistakable fingerprints of a divine orchestration at work, aligning your life with the fulfillment of your deepest desires. When you recognize these signs, trust them, embrace them, and move forward with faith, you step fully into the life that has been prepared for you. Everything you have longed for, hoped for, and imagined is not only possible, it is already moving toward you. The challenges you have faced, the delays you have endured, and the obstacles you thought insurmountable were all preparing you for this moment of alignment. Now is the time to trust the process, to step boldly through the doors opening before you, and to hold unwavering faith in the unseen forces guiding your path. Thank you for taking the time to listen and reflect on these signs today. May you leave with a renewed sense of hope, faith, and certainty, knowing that everything in your life is being perfectly arranged in your favor. There comes a moment in every life when the invisible world becomes louder than the visible, when something within you whispers, "You were made for more than this moment." This whisper is not imagination in the ordinary sense. It is God revealing that He has already begun to move things in your favor. You may look at your life and say nothing seems to be changing. But hear this truth: God always moves in the unseen before He manifests in the seen. The shift you feel, the unrest, the desire, the vision, these are not accidents. They are divine signals announcing that something has already been released on your behalf. The world tells you to wait for proof, but God gives you a different kind of evidence. He gives you desire, and the desire is not a craving, it is confirmation. It is God's voice saying, "What you seek is already yours. Walk toward it." You are not waiting for the blessing. The blessing is waiting for you to align with it. Every time you imagine a better life, every time you rehearse a new version of yourself in your mind, you are shaping reality. Your imagination is not fantasy. It is the workshop of God. It is the place where unseen things begin to take form. If only you knew what was happening behind the scenes on your behalf, you would never doubt again. When doors closed in your life, you assumed you were rejected. But heaven has no rejections, only redirections. What left you was never meant to carry you into your next chapter. God removed it because your destiny required it. And then, in moments you did not expect, help began to show up. A conversation, a connection, an opportunity, a shift in timing. None of it was random. It was divine choreography. God was placing people in the right positions, touching hearts, moving resources, softening circumstances, all for one purpose: your favor. Some of you have felt delayed, but delay is not divine punishment. Delay simply means God is arranging the stage so when the blessing arrives, nothing and no one can interfere with it. Timing is the final proof that God is involved. Look closely at your life today. You will see traces, evidence, fingerprints of a God who has been moving things long before you asked, long before you prayed, long before you even knew what you needed. Your desire, your vision, your inner shift, the closed doors, the unexpected help, all of it is proof. So lift your head, walk with confidence, step into your next season knowing this one truth: God is not preparing the blessing for you. He is preparing you for the blessing. And right now, in ways you cannot yet see, everything is moving in your favor. Your inner state is the quiet birthplace of every outer transformation that unfolds in your life. Long before you see the shift in your circumstances, long before opportunities appear, long before people step in to help you, something moves within you. This inward movement is not random. It is the first undeniable proof that God has already begun aligning external events in your favor. The world often insists that change begins from the outside, but the truth is the opposite. Everything in your life starts with a shift in consciousness. There are moments when you feel a new desire rising, almost out of nowhere. A longing for a better life, a clearer direction, a deeper sense of purpose. That desire is not simply emotional, it is divine communication. It is God awakening your spirit to something that is already prepared for you. The desire itself is evidence that the blessing exists. You could not want what was not already possible. You could not imagine what was not already forming in the unseen. Your inner state receives the signal first, long before your outer world catches up. When God begins moving things in your favor, He doesn't start by changing the circumstances around you. He starts by changing you. He strengthens your faith. He expands your vision. He awakens a sense of expectancy. This shift is gentle yet powerful. You begin to think differently, feel differently, walk differently. You notice that your old fears no longer hold the same weight. The limitations you once accepted no longer hold the same weight. The limitations you once accepted no longer hold the same weight. The limitations you once accepted no longer hold the same weight. The limitations you once accepted no longer hold the same weight. The limitations you once accepted no longer hold the same weight. The limitations you once accepted no longer hold the same weight. This is the moment where the miracle quietly begins. Your inner alignment becomes the magnet for divine orchestration. As your thoughts rise, so does your reality. As your state shifts, so do the events in your life. You start attracting opportunities that match your new inner condition. People appear who are aligned with your growth. Conversations open doors, resources come unexpectedly. This is not coincidence, it is spiritual law in motion. God works through your inner transformation to rearrange the outer world. Think of your inner state as the soil and God's promise as the seed. When the soil is ready, when you are aligned, receptive, expectant, the seed begins to grow. You may not see it at first. The growth happens underground, unseen, hidden. But the activity is real, and the proof is the subtle shift you feel in your spirit. Faith feels more natural. Hope feels more stable. Peace feels more accessible. That is the divine movement beginning to sprout. Every breakthrough in your life begins with an internal awakening. It is the moment you sense that life is about to change, even though nothing external has changed yet. This feeling is the spiritual confirmation that God has already gone before you. Your heart knows the blessing is on its way before your eyes do. So trust that internal shift. Believe the subtle whisper that says something good is coming. That whisper is not imagination. It is the announcement of divine alignment. When God is moving things in your favor, the first place you will see it is within you. The inner change is the evidence, the seed, the beginning of everything that will soon manifest in your world. What you consistently imagine becomes the silent architect of your future. Most people shrug off imagination as fantasy or wishful thinking, but imagination is far more sacred and far more powerful than that. It is the invisible workshop where God begins to shape the very path you will soon walk. Every image you hold, every scene you rehearse, every outcome you emotionally feel in your mind becomes a blueprint for your outer life. What you imagine is not a mere picture. It is a spiritual command, a signal that sets reality into motion. When you allow your mind to dwell deliberately on a desired end, you activate a divine partnership. God placed imagination within you not as a toy but as a tool. It is the mechanism through which spiritual intention becomes physical manifestation. The outer world is not the origin of your experiences, it is the reflection of the inner images you have nurtured and believed. Without realizing it, you are constantly shaping tomorrow by the visions you entertain today. This is why consistent imagination is so potent. One fleeting thought may pass without impact, but a scene revisited over and over again is like carving a path through dense forest. The more you walk it, the clearer and more inevitable it becomes. When you imagine something repeatedly, you are training your inner world to accept that outcome as real. And once your inner world accepts it, life begins rearranging itself to match your new mental reality. Imagination is not passive. It summons the right people, aligns the right timing, and attracts the right opportunities. It dissolves obstacles you didn't even know were in your way. It influences your behavior, your decisions, and your sense of expectation without your conscious effort. You begin walking differently, speaking differently, thinking differently, because your inner vision is already living in the future you desire. This inner alignment becomes the magnetic force that pulls the outer world into harmony with it. When you imagine consistently, you are not escaping reality, you are preparing it. You are rehearsing the world God is guiding you toward. You are stepping into the feeling of the wish fulfilled, knowing that the emotional experience is the bridge through which the unseen becomes seen. Emotions fuel imagination, and imagination fuels creation. The heart and mind together create a spiritual frequency that heaven responds to. Think of imagination as divine permission. If you can hold the image long enough, if you can feel its truth deeply enough, God begins to orchestrate circumstances to match the picture you've embraced. Conversations shift, doors open, directions change. Seemingly random events align perfectly, revealing that nothing was random at all. Your imagination was planting seeds and God was watering them in silence. Every great transformation begins as an unseen image. Every breakthrough is born in a quiet moment when you allow yourself to envision something greater, and every blessing that appears in your life begins first as a picture formed in the sanctuary of your mind. So guard your imagination. Feed it with the life you want, not the life you fear. Embrace the truth that what you imagine consistently is already taking shape, already being built, already being prepared for you. Your imagination is not fantasy, it is the creative force through which God shapes your path and writes your destiny. There are moments in life when a door closes so suddenly, so unexpectedly, that it leaves you questioning everything. You may feel abandoned, overlooked, or pushed aside. But what appears as rejection from the outside is often divine orchestration from within. Closed doors are never God's way of saying, "You are not worthy." They are His way of saying, "This is not the path that leads to your destiny." When you see a door closed, it is not the path that leads to your destiny. When something leaves your life, whether it is a person, a job, an opportunity, or a dream you held tightly, it is not a sign of divine disfavor. It is evidence that you are being redirected towards something far better than what you were willing to settle for. Every closed door is a form of protection. You may not recognize it in the moment, but God sees the full picture, the intentions you couldn't see, the consequences you didn't foresee, the timing you didn't understand. You might view the door as a pathway to something good, while God knows that it would have led you into confusion, stagnation, or unnecessary pain. Sometimes He closes a door not to take something from you, but to take you away from something that would have hindered your growth or delayed your purpose. The truth is that we cling to what is familiar even when it no longer serves us. We hold on to relationships that have expired, environments that limit us, or opportunities that underpay our potential. And when God closes the door, we grieve because we focus on what we lost instead of what we're being led toward. But if you look closely, you will realize that every time a door closed in your life, something greater eventually replaced it, something that aligned better with your calling, your identity, your healing, and your future. Closed doors are also divine timing at work. What you think you want right now may not be what you are prepared to handle. God will not allow you to walk into a room you are not yet ready to manage. A delay is often a strategy. The door may open later, but at a moment when you are stronger, wiser, and more capable of holding the blessing without losing yourself in the process. The door that is closed today may become the door that saves you tomorrow. Sometimes the redirection is subtle. A plan falls apart, a conversation doesn't happen, something you expected doesn't come through. Other times it is dramatic. A relationship ends, a job disappears, a place you depended on becomes unavailable. Either way, the redirection is purposeful. God shifts things so that your life rises to match the future He has prepared for you. The door that closes is not the end of your story, it is the beginning of a new alignment. And if you pay attention, you will notice that closed doors often lead you to unexpected opportunities. What you thought was a setback becomes the turning point. What felt like loss becomes liberation. What seemed like rejection becomes redirection toward a blessing that carries more peace, more growth, more fulfillment, and more purpose. So when a door closes, don't mourn it as failure. Recognize it as divine movement. Trust that something is shifting in your favor, even when you cannot see it. What leaves your life is never meant to diminish you. It is meant to clear the path so you can walk boldly into the next chapter God has already prepared. There are seasons in your journey when help arrives from places you never expected, through people you barely knew, and in moments you didn't anticipate. This help is not accidental. It is not coincidence. It is a sign of invisible intervention, proof that God is working behind the scenes, aligning the right connections, and preparing the right circumstances for your elevation. When you begin to see unexpected support showing up in your life, understand this truth. You have entered a chapter where heaven is actively participating in your progress. Often you don't see the divine strategy until after the blessing unfolds. You think a person simply happened to cross your path or a door just happened to open at the right moment. But nothing is random when God is involved. Every connection has purpose. Every opportunity is orchestrated. Every resource is positioned with intention. God uses people as vessels, timing as a tool, and circumstances as pieces of a larger puzzle to guide you exactly where you need to go. Sometimes the help arrives quietly. Someone gives you advice that shifts your perspective. A stranger offers information that leads you to breakthrough, or a friend encourages you at the exact moment you are ready to quit. Other times, it arrives dramatically. A job offer you didn't apply for, a financial opportunity that appears out of nowhere, or a person stepping in to open a door you couldn't open on your own. These moments are not luck, they are divine fingerprints. God moves through people because elevation is rarely a solitary journey. The blessing you are walking into often requires the hands, voices, and decisions of others. This is why He places you in the right environments, prepares the hearts of those who will help you, and aligns their timing with your destiny. Someone thinks of you unexpectedly. Someone recommends you without being asked. Someone invests in your potential even when you feel unprepared. This is God whispering your name into rooms you haven't entered yet. You may wonder why certain people show up in your life suddenly, offering support, favor, or opportunities. It's because your spirit has shifted into alignment with a new season, and God responds to that shift by bringing in the individuals who carry the next piece of your puzzle. These helpers are not always permanent. Some appear only for a moment, just long enough to lift you into your next level. They are divine appointments disguised as everyday interactions. Even resources appear when God is elevating you. Money comes unexpectedly, information finds you at the right time, doors you never knocked on open wide, ideas flow effortlessly. These resources are confirmations that heaven is invested in your journey. The path ahead requires provision, and God ensures you have what you need precisely when you need it. Elevation is never accidental. It is prepared, it is supported, it is guided from above. And the unexpected help that shows up in your life is the evidence. So when people appear with kindness, when opportunities arrive without explanation, when resources come without struggle, recognize the intervention behind it. God is arranging your steps, preparing your rise, and ushering you into a future that requires support from beyond your own strength. Unexpected help is not a coincidence. It is a divine signal that your life is shifting upward, and heaven is making sure nothing stands in your way. There are moments when life seems to move slower than your prayers, when doors don't open as quickly as you hoped, and when blessings feel like they are taking too long to arrive. In those seasons, it is easy to assume something is wrong, that you are forgotten, overlooked, or somehow off course. But delay is rarely a sign of denial. More often, it is a divine strategy. Timing is not working against you. Timing is being meticulously aligned to maximize your blessing. What feels like waiting is actually preparation, protection, and positioning for something far greater than what you asked for. A miracle is never rushed. A miracle is constructed, and construction takes time. There are layers to your blessing that you cannot see yet. There are people being prepared, circumstances being reshaped, environments being arranged, and opportunities being formed behind the scenes. God is not simply giving you what you desire. He is preparing the version of the blessing that fits the fullness of who you are becoming. A premature blessing can become a burden, and a rushed miracle can collapse under the weight of unpreparedness. That is why divine timing matters. In delay, God is shaping you. He is developing patience, deepening your faith, cleansing your intentions, sharpening your discernment, and enlarging your capacity. You are not being stalled, you are being strengthened. What you are waiting for requires a stronger, wiser, more grounded version of you, a version that can receive without fear, sustain without breaking, and multiply without losing identity. The delay also protects you from unseen dangers. Sometimes the timing is not wrong, the environment is. The people connected to the blessing are not ready yet. The place you desire to go is not stable yet. Or the path you're asking for would lead you into harm if you took it too soon. God sees what you do not see. He knows what you're walking toward long before you arrive. So He slows you down, not to punish you, but to preserve you. Divine delay also aligns opportunities in ways you could never design yourself. Think of all the seemingly random events that must intersect perfectly for a breakthrough to manifest. Someone has to leave a position for you to step into it. A conversation has to take place at the right moment. A door has to unlock from the inside before you can walk through it. These alignments take time, and God orchestrates them with precision. At always cost used to walk out because the timing of your blessing is not incidental, it is intentional. And when it arrives, it will not be fragile or temporary, it will be whole, complete, and undeniable. You will look back and realize the waiting was not wasted time, it was essential time. It was the season in which you were being shaped into the person capable of carrying what you asked for. The miracle you seek is not delayed, it is being curated. Every day of waiting is a day of divine preparation. And when the timing finally aligns, the blessing will appear effortlessly, as if it had been waiting for you all along. Desire is one of the most misunderstood spiritual signals in human life. Many people treat their desires as random emotions or fleeting wishes, but true desire, the kind that settles in your heart and refuses to leave, is something far deeper. It is not simply your longing, it is God's whisper. It is the inner confirmation that what you seek has already been prepared for you in the unseen. You do not desire what is impossible for you, you desire what is already aligned with your destiny. The moment a genuine desire is born in you, it carries its own evidence. The longing itself is the proof. You feel pulled toward a future that your outer life has not yet caught up with, yet something within you recognizes it as real. This is because desire is not created by external circumstances. It comes from the divine blueprint within your spirit. It is the soul remembering what God has already designed for you. Desire is God's way of speaking to you without words. It is His method of turning your attention toward the next chapter of your purpose. He places the feeling before the manifestation so your inner world can begin to prepare for what is coming. Every time you feel the tug of a dream, the ache for something more, the quiet yearning for a high level of life, you are not being teased, you are being informed. You might not see the blessing yet, but the blessing sees you. It is already in motion, already forming, already waiting for the right moment to enter your life. Desire is the bridge that connects you to it. The purpose of desire is not to frustrate you, it is to guide you. It influences your decisions, shifts your focus, stretches your imagination, and expands your faith. It prepares you mentally, emotionally, and spiritually for the life you are being called into. Many people ignore their desires because they fear disappointment. But the very desire you fear is the one that confirms fulfillment. Fear appears only because the desire touches something sacred, something connected to your true purpose. Desires that come from ego disappear quickly. Desires that come from God remain. They grow, they deepen. They pull you forward even when circumstances seem unchanged. When you embrace your desire, you align yourself with the path prepared for you. You begin to notice opportunities that match your longing. You attract people who support your vision. Your inner state shifts, and life begins rearranging itself to meet your expectation. This is not imagination, it is spiritual law. Desire is never given without the means for fulfillment. The longing is the seed, and God provides everything required to grow it into reality. The timing, the connections, the resources, the ideas, they come because they are already attached to the desire itself. So do not dismiss what you long for. Listen to it, honor it, follow it. The desire placed within you is the evidence that the blessing already exists. What your heart seeks is not a fantasy, it is a preview. And your longing is God's way of saying, "This is yours. Move toward it. I have already prepared it for you." Your desire is not the beginning of the blessing, it is the revelation of it. Recognize it as the spiritual proof that fulfillment is already on its way. There comes a point in every journey when you realize that nothing in your life has been random. The shifts within you, the visions you hold, the doors that closed, the unexpected help that appeared, the delays that shaped you, and the desires that refused to let go, all of it has been divine movement. God has been orchestrating your path with precision, aligning every experience to lift you into the life He prepared long before you even imagined it. You are not walking into your future alone. You are being guided, supported, redirected, and strengthened at every step. And as you look back, you will see the unmistakable pattern of grace woven through your entire story. Everything is working for your good, not by chance, but by divine intention. So step into your next chapter with confidence. Trust the unseen hand that has never stopped moving things in your favor. Believe that the best days of your life are not far away. They are already unfolding. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And thank you for allowing these words to speak life into your spirit. May you walk forward, knowing that God's favor is already ahead of you. My friend, listen closely, for this very moment is holy. Right now, as you sit and breathe, something unseen is working on your behalf. Though your senses may whisper of delay, though appearances may tell you nothing is happening, a greater order is at work. God is moving everything in your favor. There is no chaos in the divine. Every seeming obstacle, every closed door, every disappointment was not rejection. It was redirection. The path was being rearranged so that the fullness of your promise could meet you in divine timing. You see, miracles do not begin in the world around you. They begin in the world within you. The instant you believe that it is already done, heaven responds. The universe begins to conspire with your conviction. Invisible forces start shifting. People, opportunities, and timing begin to align with what your inner faith has declared. So do not say, "One day my miracle will come." Say, "Now." For the moment you awaken to the reality that God moves now, you release the power that changes everything. Right now, your life is being rearranged to bless you. Right now, unseen hands are setting the stage for your answered prayer. Right now, the Spirit is whispering to your circumstances, commanding them to yield to favor. Your only task is to believe. Not a desperate belief that strives or pleads, but a serene knowing. The calm assurance that what you have imagined with faith already exists. You do not beg for what is already yours. You receive it by entering into the feeling of fulfillment. Close your eyes and see yourself in possession of the miracle. Feel the gratitude that flows when your desire has already come to pass. Let your inner world become so real that the outer world has no choice but to reflect it. And then, that instant, the outer world becomes your shell. That is how you receive the miracle, not by reaching, but by resting in divine certainty. For faith is not waiting for something to happen. Faith is knowing that it has already happened in the unseen. So walk today with quiet confidence. Let no appearance trouble you. For the unseen hand of God is moving through every detail of your story, aligning every thread and weaving together a masterpiece called favor. And when the miracle unfolds, as it surely will, you will look back and say, it was happening all along. Even in silence, God was moving everything in my favor. Right now, my friend, it is done. Receive it, walk in it, live as though the promise is fulfilled, because it is. Even when life appears silent, still, or motionless, there is a profound and invisible movement taking place beneath the surface of your reality. What you call nothing happening is often the most sacred moment of divine orchestration. The unseen intelligence that governs the stars, that guides the seasons, that breathes life into all creation, is the same intelligence quietly rearranging the details of your life. It works in silence, without announcement and without spectacle, yet it is never inactive. There are times when you may look at your life and feel that progress has stopped, that prayers have gone unanswered, or that destiny has somehow paused. But in truth, these are the very moments when God's movement is most active. The divine does not always move with noise and visibility. Just as the roots of a tree grow deep in the darkness of the soil before a single leaf appears above the ground, your life too is being prepared in hidden realms. The silence is not stagnation, it is strategy. The delay is not denial, it is divine design. Every circumstance you face, every encounter, every closed door or unexpected detour is being used to set the stage for the fulfillment of your purpose. You may not see how it fits, but there is an order, an invisible pattern that only reveals itself when the time is right. The universe, under divine direction, moves like a grand symphony. Each note, though it may sound isolated in the moment, finds perfect harmony in the larger composition of your life. When you trust that unseen movement, you begin to rest. You no longer force outcomes or chase what is already ordained to be yours. You learn to stand still, knowing that the power that created you is not idle. God's hand moves through time and space, aligning opportunities, shifting people, and opening paths you could not see with natural eyes. You may think you've been forgotten, but heaven has not been silent. It has been working. Faith is the art of perceiving that invisible movement. It is the quiet confidence that beneath every delay, something greater is forming. When your heart aligns with that understanding, fear loses its voice. You stop reacting to appearances and start responding to truth. And the truth is this: even in what seems like stillness, divine intelligence is in motion, guiding all things toward your highest good. So do not measure progress by what you see. Do not define movement by visible signs. The invisible movement of God is constant, precise, and powerful. One day, when the time is full, what was hidden will emerge, and you will realize that nothing was ever still. Everything was being rearranged for your good. The same silence that once felt empty will be recognized as sacred preparation. Trust that right now, in unseen realms, God is moving, and He is moving everything in your favor. There is a divine law that governs all creation. The outer world is but a reflection of the inner world. The moment your inner state aligns with faith, the world around you begins to rearrange itself to mirror that vibration. Nothing in your external life changes permanently until something within you does. You may try to alter your environment, relationships, or circumstances, but true transformation begins the instant your consciousness moves into harmony with what you believe is possible. Faith is not mere hope or wishful thinking. Faith is the deep, unwavering knowing that what you have desired already exists in the unseen. When your heart and mind agree with that truth, you release a spiritual current that touches everything connected to you. Events, people, and opportunities start to align, not through force, but through divine synchronization. What was once delayed begins to accelerate, what seemed impossible begins to open, and what appeared lost finds its way back to you. But this alignment cannot happen while your inner world is filled with contradiction. You cannot hold faith in one moment and fear in the next and expect your reality to remain stable. The outer world is a faithful servant. It echoes the dominant vibration of your inner state. When your inner dialogue is filled with doubt, frustration, or lack, life mirrors those thoughts. Yet when you cultivate peace, gratitude, and certainty, everything begins to move toward harmony. Inner alignment is the place where thought, emotion, and belief move in one direction. It is when your heart no longer argues with your mind and your imagination no longer opposes your faith. You no longer question whether you deserve the miracle. You simply know that it is already yours. This inner conviction produces a magnetic energy that attracts every resource necessary for fulfillment. Without struggle, without resistance, your world begins to yield to the consciousness you have chosen to embody. Think of it as tuning a frequency. A radio must be aligned to the correct station before the signal becomes clear. The message was always there, but until alignment happened, there was only static. In the same way, divine favor, abundance, and healing have always been present, but until your inner frequency matches their vibration, they cannot be fully received. The universe does not respond to words. It responds to the feeling behind them, the state of being that declares it is done. When you enter that state of faith, everything changes. The world that once resisted you begins to assist you. Delays dissolve. The right people appear. The timing becomes perfect. You stop striving and start flowing, for you are now moving in rhythm with divine intelligence. So look within before you try to change what is outside. Align your thoughts with peace, your emotions with gratitude, and your belief with certainty. For when the inner world stands firm in faith, the outer world has no choice but to shift in your favor. The miracle you seek is not waiting somewhere in the future. It is already present, hidden within this very moment. The human mind is often trapped between memories of the past and dreams of the future, yet both are illusions when compared to the living power of now. The present moment is not just a point in time. It is the doorway through which divine creation flows. When you awaken fully to it, you discover that all you have ever desired already exists here in the eternal now. Most people postpone their blessings because they expect the miracle to arrive someday. They say, when things get better, I'll be happy. When I receive it, I'll believe. But such thinking places fulfillment in the distance, always beyond reach. The truth is that God's power operates only in the present. The Spirit does not act in the memory of yesterday or the dream of tomorrow. It acts in the living awareness of this moment. Present is sacred because it is where your consciousness meets divine intelligence. The moment you stop racing toward the future and begin to rest in awareness, you open the channel through which miracles manifest. You stop waiting and start receiving. You no longer chase outcomes, you become the vessel through which the outcome expresses itself. In that stillness, in that quiet knowing, the unseen begins to take visible form. Every miracle you've ever heard of was born in the now. Healing, revelation, restoration, all occur when someone becomes fully conscious of the divine presence that exists in this very breath. The moment you stop saying it will happen and begin to feel that it is happening now, something shifts within you, your vibration rises, your perception clears. You begin to sense that you are not separated from your miracle, you are standing in the midst of it. The future is only a projection of the now. Whatever quality of consciousness you nurture in this moment will shape what appears later. If you live with fear, your future mirrors fear. If you live with gratitude, your future multiplies abundance. This is why awakening to the present moment is the highest spiritual act. It is the place where faith becomes creation. To live in the now is not to ignore the future, but to realize that the seed of every future lies here, in this instant of awareness. When you breathe consciously, when you give thanks for what already is, when you recognize the divine presence within and around you, you unlock the flow of favor. So stop postponing your miracle. The answer is not coming, it is. The blessing is not on the way, it is already here, waiting for your awareness to meet it. The door has never been closed. You have only been standing outside of the moment. Step through it now. Embrace the stillness. Feel the divine energy moving in you, as you, through you. This is the power of now, the eternal moment where miracles are born. The eyes can deceive you, for they only report what already exists, not what is being created. The evidence of the senses is fleeting, constantly shifting like waves upon the sea. What you see around you today is nothing more than the residue of yesterday's beliefs. Every condition, every situation, every appearance in your life is a reflection of a former state of mind. That means the visible is always temporary, but the invisible, the realm of belief, is what shapes the permanent. To see beyond the evidence is to rise above appearances and behold reality from a higher vision. When you look only with physical eyes, you see limitation. But when you perceive with spiritual understanding, you see the unfolding of divine order. The world tells you to believe what you see, yet the truth is that you see what you believe. Faith reverses the order. It calls things that are not yet visible as though they already were. It refuses to bow before circumstances and instead declares, this is only the surface. Something greater is happening beneath it. The visible world may whisper of lack, but your belief in abundance rewrites that story. The evidence may point to failure, but your inner conviction can summon victory from the unseen. You may see closed doors, but faith perceives divine redirection. Every person who has ever lived a life of power learned to trust the invisible over the visible, to stand firm in belief when the senses screamed otherwise. Seeing beyond the evidence is not denial, it is discernment. You are not pretending that your challenges don't exist, you are simply refusing to give them the final word. You are acknowledging a higher reality, one that is forming even as the old dissolves. The moment you choose to believe beyond appearances, you begin to shift from reaction to creation. Instead of being a prisoner of circumstance, you become a co-creator with the divine. The greatest test of faith is often in the waiting, those times when everything around you seems contrary to what you believe. Yet that is the sacred moment when your spiritual sight is strengthened. You learn to hold the vision steady, to look not at what is, but at what shall be. You learn to walk by faith, not by sight. And as you persist in that inner certainty, the temporary dissolves and the permanent emerges. Every miracle begins this way, with someone daring to believe something higher than the evidence. To believe that light can emerge from darkness, that healing can spring forth from brokenness, that destiny can unfold even in delay. The outer world eventually bows to the inner conviction. So look again at your life, not with the eyes of fear, but with the eyes of faith. What you see today is passing, but what you hold in belief is eternal. The invisible reality you carry within will soon become the evidence everyone else can see. The divine flow of life was never meant to be forced. Miracles are not born from strain, effort, or anxious striving. They unfold naturally through surrender and awareness. Humanity has been conditioned to believe that blessings are earned through struggle, that favor must be fought for, and that only through relentless effort can one touch the divine. Yet the truth is far simpler and more profound. Miracles are received, not achieved. Miracles are received, not achieved. They do not come because you have done enough, but because you have finally allowed enough. Striving belongs to the realm of separation, the belief that you are distant from what you desire. It is the mind's attempt to reach God through effort, unaware that the divine presence has never left you. When you strive, you affirm that what you seek is outside of you. When you surrender, you realize it has been within you all along. Surrender is not weakness, it is spiritual intelligence. It is the moment when you stop wrestling with life and begin to flow with it. Awareness is the key that opens the door to this flow. When you become aware of your unity with the divine, you stop pleading and start receiving. You no longer chase after blessings as though they are far away. You recognize that all that is good, pure, and beautiful is already moving toward you because it is drawn to its reflection within you. Your awareness becomes the magnet of miracles. Receiving requires stillness, a quiet trust that everything is unfolding perfectly, even if your senses cannot yet see it. When you rest in that inner knowing, the struggle dissolves. You stop trying to force outcomes and instead, you create the inner space for grace to enter. Striving tightens, receiving opens, striving shouts, receiving listens, striving demands, receiving allows. The greatest miracles often come when the soul releases control. When you stop insisting that life must go your way and simply allow divine wisdom to move through you, life begins to respond with harmony. Things that once felt blocked begin to flow. Ideas arise effortlessly and solutions appear at the perfect time. It is not that God suddenly decides to act, it is that your surrender has removed the resistance that once kept divine action from expressing itself freely. To receive is to trust that you are already worthy. It is to understand that favor does not depend on your performance, but on your position. The inner posture of faith and openness. You do not have to beg for what is already yours in spirit. You simply become aware of it, align with it, and let it manifest in its own divine order. So release the struggle. Let go of the idea that you must fight your way into grace. The river of divine supply is always flowing. You need only stop thrashing and let it carry you. Rest, trust, and become aware, for miracles are not achieved through effort, but received through surrender and awakening. Life is you let go of the idea that you must fight your way. To wait for a miracle is to live in separation from it. But to become the miracle is to live in unity with its essence until it appears. Every creation begins not in the world of action, but in the world of consciousness. You do not draw miracles to you by pleading or wishing. You manifest them by entering into the feeling of already having received them. The miracle is not something that happens to you, it is something that happens through you. When your inner state matches the reality you desire. Becoming one with the miracle means embodying its vibration before it takes visible form. If you desire healing, you begin to feel whole within. If you seek abundance, you cultivate gratitude and richness of spirit. If you long for love, you first awaken the presence of love in your own heart. Whatever you wish to see externally must first exist internally, for the outer world is but a mirror reflecting your inner consciousness. When your thoughts, emotions, and imagination are in harmony with the fulfillment of your desire, creation is inevitable. This inner embodiment is not pretending or daydreaming. It is spiritual creation in motion. You are impressing upon the divine substance of life the image of completion. The moment you become conscious of being the one who already possesses what you seek, the universe begins to align with that frequency. Circumstances, people, and timing rearrange themselves to reflect your new state of being. You no longer wonder when the miracle will come, because in awareness, you already possess it. Waiting often implies lack, a belief that something is missing, but becoming one with the miracle dissolves that illusion. You realize that nothing is missing, only unseen. Just as the seed already contains the entire tree within it, your consciousness already holds the fullness of your desired reality. You nurture it through faith, imagination, and gratitude until it unfolds naturally into form. To live in the consciousness of the miracle is to walk through life with quiet certainty. You speak differently, think differently, and act from a sense of completion rather than deficiency. You no longer pray from desperation, but from thanksgiving. You no longer ask if it will happen, but give thanks that it already has. In that vibration of assurance, the invisible becomes visible. This is the sacred secret of manifestation. You do not create by effort, but by identity. You become what you desire, and life mirrors that identity back to you. The world cannot resist the truth of a soul that knows it already is what it once sought to be. So stop waiting at the door of delay. Step into the consciousness of fulfillment now. Feel it, live it, breathe it, and let it shape your every thought. For when you become one with the miracle, reality itself must bow to your faith, and the unseen must appear before your eyes. And so, my friend, as we come to the close of this message, let your heart rest in this truth. Right now, God is moving everything in your favor. Even when life feels silent, He is working behind the scenes. When your inner state aligns with faith, your outer world begins to shift. When you awaken to the power of the present moment, you step through the doorway where miracles are born. When you look beyond appearances, you see that the invisible hand of God has never stopped guiding you. When you surrender the struggle and simply receive, grace flows effortlessly. And when you become one with the miracle, when you live, think, and feel as though it is already done, the universe must obey the consciousness you carry. This is not about waiting for divine favor. It is about realizing that you already live within it. The same power that created worlds is breathing through you now. Trust it. Rest in it. Walk as though the promise has already unfolded, because in the unseen, it has. Thank you for listening, and thank you for opening your heart to this message. May your awareness expand, your faith deepen, and your life overflow with undeniable evidence that God has indeed moved everything in your favor. The miracle is not coming, it is here. Receive it and be at peace. Each morning, before the noise of the world rushes in, heaven opens a quiet door before you. It whispers, "Come within." For the day ahead is not waiting to shape you. You are the one who shapes the day. When you awaken, do not reach first for your phone or your fear. Reach inward. In that still moment before the sun rises fully, declare this truth. Today, everything is moving in my favor, because I am moving with God. The first thoughts you think in the morning are not small, they are seeds. Every emotion, every word, every silent belief you carry into the day becomes a law unto itself. You are never a victim of circumstance. You are the cause behind the circumstances you meet. If your morning begins with gratitude, your day will multiply it. If your morning begins with peace, your day will reflect it back. If your morning begins with divine awareness, all things will bend toward your good. God does not meet you in the outer world first. He meets you in consciousness. That moment of stillness, that whisper of faith, that inner knowing, that is where the day truly begins. When you say, "I am favored," heaven agrees. When you feel everything is aligning for my good, life begins to rearrange itself to match that feeling. For what you assume with conviction becomes the movement of divine law in your favor. Every obstacle becomes a servant. Every delay becomes direction. Every challenge becomes a channel for greater blessing, because your consciousness has already decreed that all things are working together for good. So, start your morning with God, not as a ritual, but as recognition. Recognize that you and the divine are one. Recognize that favor is not something you chase. It is something you awaken within. When your thoughts are aligned with God's peace, doors will open where walls once stood. When your heart is set in gratitude, even silence will speak blessings. And when your faith holds firm in unseen goodness, the entire day will conspire to move in your favor. So, as you rise each morning, do not ask what the day will bring. Ask instead, what will I bring into this day? Bring light, bring faith, Bring the awareness that God goes before you and that no moment is without purpose. Because when you start your morning with God, truly start with Him, everything without exception will begin to move in your favor. Each morning carries within it a silent miracle. When the first light of dawn touches the earth, creation is renewed, not just outside in the world, but within you. The rising sun is not merely the start of another day, it is God's quiet invitation to begin again, to shape your reality with the thoughts you choose to dwell upon. Morning is the sacred threshold between what was and what can be, between the memory of yesterday and the possibility of today. In that stillness before the world awakens, heaven offers you a clean canvas, asking only one thing: what will you create today through your awareness? Every sunrise declares that God has not forgotten you. It is His reminder that life is not static, that no failure or disappointment of yesterday can imprison your spirit unless you permit it. As the light spreads across the sky, so does divine opportunity spread before your consciousness. What you think, feel, and imagine in those first moments of awakening carries extraordinary creative power. Before you speak to anyone, before you look at your messages or recall your problems, life gives you this sacred pause, the chance to align your inner world with divine intention. The morning holds a purity that no other time possesses. Your mind is unburdened, your spirit is soft, and your imagination is awake. Whatever you choose to plant in that tender soil of consciousness begins to take root immediately. If you begin your day with gratitude, you attract harmony. If you begin your day in complaint, you invite resistance. The universe mirrors the state of your inner being. That is why it is said that how you start your morning often determines how the rest of your day unfolds. Morning is the birthplace of your day's reality. This sacred beginning is not about rituals or routines alone. It is about awareness, about remembering that you are not separate from the source that sustains you. When you open your eyes each morning, remember that you are looking upon a world that will reflect whatever you assume to be true. To start your morning with God is to start it in harmony with the deepest truth of existence, that life responds to consciousness. Your peace becomes the pattern of your experience. Your faith becomes the law that shapes your circumstances. Your inner conversation with God becomes the blueprint of what unfolds before you. So, let the morning be holy to you. Let the rising sun remind you that you are co-creator with the divine. Before the duties and distractions of the day begin, pause to listen inwardly. Feel the quiet presence of God within you, not far away, but as your very breath, your awareness, your life. Choose thoughts that uplift, feelings that bless, and visions that expand your soul. Each morning is God's invitation to remember who you truly are, the vessel through which His favor flows, the consciousness through which new creation begins. When you honor the morning as sacred, the day bows to your awareness, and everything moves in your favor. Before the noise of the world enters your mind, there exists a sacred space within you, a silent temple where the voice of God still speaks. This is not a temple built with hands. It is an invisible sanctuary in your consciousness, a place where your spirit meets the divine in quiet communion. Each morning, before the demands of the day press upon you, you are invited to enter this inner temple, not with words alone, but with awareness. Be here. Silence is not emptiness. It is the fullness of divine presence waiting to guide, renew, and realign your life. The world begins its chatter early. It demands your attention through devices, responsibilities, and endless thoughts. But before you let the world speak to you, let your spirit speak first. In the quiet of the morning, when the mind has not yet been flooded with noise, you have the greatest opportunity to shape your reality. Prayer, stillness, and imagination are the keys that unlock this inner temple. Prayer lifts your consciousness toward God. Stillness clears the noise that blinds you to His presence. And imagination allows you to see the world as He intends, whole, perfect, and overflowing with favor. When you enter the inner temple, you are not escaping the world. You are aligning with the power that governs it. The silence within is not the absence of life. It is the heartbeat of creation itself. In that sacred quiet, you begin to sense divine order behind all things. Your fears lose their voice. Your confusion dissolves. And your heart begins to speak a language that words cannot carry. You realize that peace does not come from circumstances being perfect. It comes from your awareness of the divine within you being unshaken. Stillness is not passive, it is creative. The quiet mind becomes a womb of new beginnings. When you still your thoughts, you allow divine inspiration to move freely. In that space, ideas come, answers rise, healing flows, and guidance unfolds naturally. Through imagination, you begin to see yourself and your life as already blessed, already whole, already guided. You become the conscious vessel of divine favor, shaping your outer world through inner vision. In this sacred silence, prayer becomes more than asking. It becomes knowing. You are no longer pleading for God to move. You are recognizing that He already has, and you are now in harmony with that movement. The words you speak after such communion carry power, for they arise not from fear, but from faith. When you emerge from your inner temple, you do so clothed in peace, strength, and divine assurance. So, before the world rushes in with its noise and demands, close your eyes and enter that sacred stillness. Let your spirit speak first. Let prayer open your heart. Let stillness center your soul. And let imagination awaken your divine authority. For when you begin your day from the inner temple of silence, you no longer react to the world begins to respond to you. Every day begins as a blank canvas, and the first brushstrokes are your thoughts. The quality of your inner dialogue in the morning determines the rhythm of your day. When your thoughts are aligned with divine order, peace becomes your atmosphere, clarity becomes your guide, and favor becomes your natural flow. God has designed the mind to be a powerful creative instrument. What you dwell upon in consciousness begins to take form in your experience. That is why the morning is so crucial. It is the sacred moment when you decide whether to tune your inner world to harmony or to the noise of fear and distraction. To align your thoughts with divine order is to remember that there is an unseen intelligence governing all things. It is to acknowledge that your thoughts are not isolated. They are living currents that either move in harmony with divine purpose or against it. When you awaken and immediately fix your attention on problems, delays, or lack, you unconsciously invite those patterns to unfold throughout your day. But when you awaken and deliberately anchor your mind in gratitude, peace, and faith, you set in motion invisible forces. that align circumstances, people, and opportunities in your favor. Divine order is not chaos. It is perfect sequence. It means that everything unfolds in right timing and perfect alignment when your thoughts are in agreement with truth. Every morning you have the choice to surrender to divine order or to the disorder of the world. Surrendering to divine order does not mean becoming passive. It means trusting that life is moving for you, not against you. It means holding thoughts that uplift rather than deplete, seeing through eyes of faith rather than fear. When you dwell upon divine ideas, love, abundance, peace, strength, you invite those very qualities into your day. Thought is creative, and the universe mirrors what you sustain in awareness. If your inner dialogue begins with worry, the day will reflect tension. But if it begins with assurance that all things are working together for your good, everything will begin to shift to confirm that truth. The outer world simply responds to the vibration of your dominant thought. Aligning with divine order also requires stillness. Before speaking, before planning, take a few moments to center yourself in quiet awareness of God's presence. Whisper inwardly, "All is well. Everything is unfolding perfectly." Feel the truth of those words until peace fills your heart. That peace becomes your compass throughout the day. It directs your steps, guards your emotions, and keeps you balanced no matter what arises. Each morning, you are the architect of your experience. By aligning your first thoughts with divine order, you declare that your day is not random, but divinely guided. When your consciousness is ordered, your outer life naturally follows. The day bends toward your peace. Events rearrange themselves to serve your purpose. An unseen favor goes before you. Such is the power of a mind that begins each morning in alignment with divine order. There is a sacred moment each morning when the world is still half asleep and the air itself seems to breathe peace. It is in that gentle stillness that you can most easily sense the nearness of God. To feel the reality of His presence is not to imagine something distant or unreachable, but to awaken to what has always been within you. When you rise and begin your day aware of this oneness, life begins to move differently, doors open effortlessly, people respond with unexpected kindness, and situations that once felt heavy begin to unfold with divine ease. This is not coincidence. It is the natural result of living from the awareness that God is not outside of you, but within you, guiding every step you take. When you start your morning in oneness with God, you are not trying to summon His presence. You are recognizing that it never left. The sense of separation disappears and peace becomes your natural state. That inner harmony is what causes your outer world to align. For life is always mirroring your conviction. If you rise filled with worry, the day echoes confusion. But if you rise filled with faith and the quiet certainty that God is with you, everything begins to work in your favor. The world bends toward your inner certainty because consciousness is the true foundation of reality. Feeling the reality of God's presence means going beyond words. It is not about repeating prayers mechanically or hoping for comfort. It is about entering a state of awareness where you feel the divine life flowing through you. In that feeling, fear loses its grip, doubt fades, and peace takes root. The more you dwell in this awareness, the more natural it becomes. Soon you no longer seek signs or proof. The presence itself becomes the evidence. You begin to move through your day with quiet confidence, knowing that divine favor surrounds you in every moment. To feel God's presence is to rest in assurance, even when nothing outwardly seems to support it. It is to know that every challenge contains hidden grace and every delay carries divine timing. When you hold this inner conviction, life organizes itself according to your faith. Situations that once caused stress now reveal purpose. Relationships deepen, opportunities appear, and paths open that logic could not have predicted. The alignment happens not because you forced it, but because you harmonized with the divine order within. Each morning is an invitation to return to this awareness. Before the mind fills with tasks and concerns, pause and simply feel the life of God breathing through you. Say quietly, I am one with the presence that guides all things. Feel that truth rather than merely thinking it. Let it expand through your being until peace fills every corner of your heart. From that state, move into your day, knowing that you are never alone, never without guidance, never without favor. For when you start your morning in oneness with God, life itself begins to move in rhythm with your conviction, effortlessly, gracefully, perfectly. Faith is the invisible current that moves through all of life. You cannot see it with your eyes, yet it shapes the direction of everything you experience. It is the quiet power behind manifestation, the unseen hand that arranges circumstances, and the divine law that responds to belief. Faith is not merely hoping for something to happen, it is the deep inner knowing that it already has. It is the conviction that even when nothing outwardly seems to support your desire, the unseen world is already working to bring it forth. Each morning when you awaken, faith is waiting to be chosen. You can choose fear or you can choose trust. One aligns you with limitation, the other aligns you with divine flow. Faith does not demand that you understand how everything will unfold. It only asks that you believe that it will. When you start your day with faith, you release the need to control and instead allow the unseen forces of creation to move on your behalf. This invisible current carries you into alignment with the very things you desire. Faith is a creative energy. It gives shape to the unseen and calls into form that which has not yet appeared. Every thought you hold with conviction, every feeling you sustain in certainty, becomes a command to the universe. The moment you believe that all is working in your favor, life begins to reorganize itself around that truth. People, opportunities, and events shift in ways that seem mysterious, but they are simply responding to the vibration of your faith. The world obeys belief. The law of life is simple. What you believe in your heart becomes what you experience in your world. There are times when faith must stand against appearances. The outer world may seem silent, progress may appear slow, and prayers may feel unanswered. Yet it is in these moments that faith reveals its greatest power. Faith does not collapse under delay, it deepens. It continues to trust that divine timing is perfect, that unseen hands are still at work arranging what the eyes cannot yet see. To hold faith in the face of uncertainty is to align yourself with God's unchanging reality rather than the shifting illusions of circumstance. The invisible current of faith cannot be forced, it must be felt. It grows stronger the more you return to stillness, the more you speak words of assurance, the more you imagine outcomes rooted in peace rather than fear. Each time you affirm everything is working in my favor, you strengthen that current. You invite heaven to move through your affairs and to bring all things into divine order. Faith is not passive, It is the most dynamic force in creation. It moves mountains, softens hearts, opens paths, and restores what was lost. When you live from faith, you no longer chase outcomes. They begin to find you. So start your morning by stepping into that invisible current. Feel its strength beneath the surface of life. Trust it completely, and you will discover that creation always obeys the quiet, unwavering power of your belief. Every day is a mirror, faithfully reflecting the state of your inner world. Life does not randomly decide what kind of day you will have. It simply mirrors what you bring into it. The thoughts you hold, the emotions you cultivate, and the atmosphere you carry within yourself all echo back to you through the events, people, and experiences that unfold. This is why the morning is so sacred. It is the moment when you set the tone for what the mirror of the day will reveal. If you begin your morning in peace, gratitude, and divine awareness, those same qualities will follow you wherever you go, returning to you through every encounter. The outer world is not separate from your consciousness, it is shaped by it. Everything you experience has its roots in your inner vibration. When you wake up rushed, worried, or agitated, you unknowingly imprint that energy onto the canvas of the day. You find yourself meeting situations that seem chaotic or difficult, but they are only reflecting the disharmony you carried within. The moment you shift your inner state, the outer world begins to shift accordingly. This is the great secret of life. You do not have to fix the world. You have to align your consciousness, and the world will mirror that alignment. To begin the morning in peace is to plant the seed of divine order. When you wake and take a few moments to breathe deeply, to feel the quiet presence of God within you, and to affirm that all is well, you create a vibration that magnetizes harmony. Peace is not weakness, it is creative power. It draws to you experiences that match its frequency, gentle conversations, kind gestures, smooth paths, and unexpected blessings. You become a center of calm in a world that often rushes without awareness. The day will always mirror what you begin within. If your first thoughts are of gratitude, life will give you more to be grateful for. If your first words are of faith, you will see evidence of that faith everywhere you go. But if your morning begins in complaint, frustration, or doubt, the mirror cannot reflect anything different. The universe is impartial. It reflects consciousness with perfect accuracy. This is not punishment. It is divine justice in motion. It gives you complete creative authority over your experience. The most powerful way to shape your day is to master your inner state before the day begins. Enter the morning not as a reactor, but as a creator. Decide that peace will govern your thoughts, that love will guide your actions, and that faith will sustain your heart. Hold that awareness gently throughout the day, and you will see how effortlessly life bends to meet your intention. Situations that once would have disturbed you will lose their power, and challenges will reveal hidden blessings. The mirror of life never lies. It simply reflects the consciousness you carry. So start each morning in harmony with God, and the reflection you meet will be peace unfolding everywhere you go. When you begin each morning with God, in awareness, in stillness, and in faith, you awaken the divine power that shapes all things in your favor. Each sunrise becomes a reminder that life responds not to circumstance, but to consciousness. When your thoughts align with divine order, when your heart feels the reality of His presence, and when your faith becomes your unseen current, everything around you begins to reflect that inner harmony. The day, the people, and even the challenges transform. to serve your higher good. So let every morning be your sacred meeting place with God. Let prayer be your first word, peace be your first feeling, and faith be your first decision. As you move through the day, carry that awareness like light within you, calm, steady, and unshaken. You will find that doors open naturally, favor follows effortlessly, and life itself bends toward your peace. Thank you for taking this journey of reflection and awakening. May each new morning remind you of your divine partnership with God. Begin with Him, walk with Him, and end each day in gratitude. For when you start your morning with God, truly everything will move in your favor.